There we go. Okay. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about one of the biggest questions that I've been hearing a lot. And that is like buyers want to know, like, how much house can I afford? So I know that there are some great like online tools that people love because I've talked to my clients about this and I was like, well, what do you do? And the most people will say like a mortgage calculator. Those are easily accessible and they're fun to play around with. The only thing about a mortgage calculator is like mortgage calculator doesn't know you. It doesn't know your habits. It doesn't know that you love to go to Swig and get your big gulp or 7-Eleven, whatever, or your whatever it is that you have a daily habit of that's not going to show up. And so mortgage calculator doesn't take into account some of that stuff. It doesn't understand a credit score. It doesn't understand exact interest rate, a bunch of other fees. It's a fun place to start. But if you want to get a little bit more serious, if you really want to know your numbers, you want to talk to an expert. So today I wanted to talk to you, Zach, the expert with the Asbel team, and ask you a couple questions about like how much home can a client afford? Like what does that take into account? Like what kind of things matter about how much home you can afford?
Right? So the biggest thing that an underwriter is always looking at is like a debt to income ratio, right? And the easiest way to do this kind of in your head, we'll just get like the quick version, is they always look at gross income, never net. So let's just say, they're always going to look at that bigger number before taxes, 401k, insurance is all taken out. And then typically on a conventional loan, they'll allow for about a 50% back end ratio, which also takes into account any car payments, student loans, credit card debt, anything like that. But if you take your gross income and let's just say you have no debts, then you could essentially say whatever that gross income is, times it by zero point 0.5 or 50%, and that's the max amount that you could have as a loan, as a mortgage monthly payment. And so if you bring $8,000 in a month total, you can have up to a $4,000 monthly payment. Now, granted, there's a lot more things that go into that, right? Such as credit score, right? I mean, a lot of programs kind of require you to be around a 620 or higher on your credit score. So if you have a 400 credit score, well, that debt to income ratio is not a perfect, calculation by any means. And then also they're just looking at everything else that compiles into it. I mean, for a lot of just first time home buyers, they've lived a lot of life, right? Typically, they don't pay cash for their cars. They haven't been able to pay cash for all of their schooling. And so there's just things that have, come up along the way that's required them to get a little bit of debt. And so that's kind of the big picture that we go into that those mortgage calculators don't go into, right? They don't see that full broad picture of everything that's going on in that client's life. But that's what we can do, right? Is kind of dive in there and figure out what are all the cool programs that we can put them into that help them to get the most house and the best loan product at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. So I thought today, like I thought it would be fun, kind of fun, like to do a real life example. I mean,
Perfect.
kind of. We're just pretending, but so let's pretend. Let's just say that I have a cute buyers that it's two income household. So they're
Okay.
both working and they're looking to qualify for $500,000. And let's pretend that let's give them a little bit of debt. Let's say that they have combined like a car payment of $400 and a student loan monthly of $100. And then let's add some credit card debt of $50 a month. So those are the kind of things that are going to show up on their credit. Obviously, people have stuff that's not on their credit, but those are the things that are going to show up on their credit. So how much do they need to make? Kind of give me an example. Like what loan program could they use? How could someone qualify for 500,000? What does that look like?
Yeah, so they'd have quite a few options in terms of like FHA is one option that they could look at. A lot depends on credit scores, whether we go that direction, or they could also go conventional. You're probably looking at anywhere from like 3 to 5% down would be the kind of that normalish range. But there are options to do zero down, like with Utah housing, and different things like that. And so somebody wouldn't necessarily have to have a down payment even to be able to get into a $500,000 home. As far as on income, though, they'd probably have to be bringing in about 100,000 combined between the two of them to be able to get up into that 500,000 range, considering those debts that they have. They might even be able to go a little bit higher, just depending on city and taxes and insurance and everything like that. But That'd be a good range for them to be in.
Okay. Perfect. Because like we want our clients to be able to still go out to eat once in a while if they like to travel, take a little trip. So those are the kind of things I always say to my clients, like, because they'll say, well, Zach said I qualify for X. And then, then I always ask, my next question is, what is the payment? And are you comfortable with that payment? Because they need to do some of their own, in my opinion. You've got to do some of your own calculations on the stuff that you don't see, that Zach doesn't see. So if they want to keep their lifestyle, or they're going to have to be changing some lifestyle things. I know for me, when I bought my first house, I shouldn't even confess this, but I love music, I love movies, and I love clothes. Like I love to shop, period, dot. And at the time that I bought a house, I had a lot of extra kind of wiggle room going on. And so I had to make a huge commitment. Like I had to just tell myself, okay, today is the day that you're being a big girl, you're buying a house. And I had to stop buying like the CDs, the DVDs. Oh my gosh, now I'm aging myself as well. And stop doing some clothing like purchases. So there's definitely that kind of stuff that has to happen too. But aside from that, I think it's a really good idea. This is a conversation that I have with my buyers. Like once we get their qualification amount, let's pretend it's like, okay, now you qualify for 500,000. This is what your payment's going to be. So if my client says to me they're comfortable with it, we move forward, that's great. And we're looking for whatever areas, size and stuff like that. But let's say they qualify for 500,000, but they're like, I want a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2 car garage for 500,000. And I want it to be in this city. So depending on what they're telling me like their wants and needs are, we start doing some negotiation because if you want that in a certain city, you're not going to get as much house as potentially like a neighboring city. So that we start talking about that. Well, if you really, really want to be in this city, because let's say they say to me, period, dot, I want to be in this city. That's it. Then what we have to do is a different direction. We have to say, okay, well, let's downsize some of our needs. Are you willing to give up a 2 car garage for a 1 car garage? Are you willing to change from a single family home to a townhome? Because if they do that, like single family home to townhome, townhome's going to be newer. You're going to probably get a little bit bigger, but you're not going to have the same private yard. So we start weighing out like what trades can we make so that they can still get into the home that they want, but yet we can fit the budget that they want because budget friendly equals peace of mind. And you and I really, really want our clients to be happy, happy, happy. Both of us work straight from referral. And if we make them happy, then they're going to want to refer us and we're going to continue to stay in business for years to come. If we make them mad, if they are house poor, they're not going to be happy with us. But I'd love to have your perspective on today's market. Like, what do you feel about today's market? And if people are playing around with mortgage calculators, and they're thinking of calling, they're trying to figure out a timeline, what do you think?
I'm liking it right now. So partially I'm liking that we're getting sellers to pay some closing costs. So like when buyers come in, they're typically only coming in with their down payment right now. And so whether that's, if they're doing a zero down option, sometimes we have clients bringing in $100 to closing. And then other times, that's been awesome on that side. We're also just seeing there's a little bit of room to negotiate right now, even though it's summertime. Certain homes are getting multiple offers on them that are turnkey, and then other homes that are sitting for a little bit longer. Sometimes we can go in and negotiate a little bit on that price. And you're an expert at that, so that's the beautiful thing too. Is we know we're going to get the best price and also get some closing costs covered. And so, as I look at this, I'm excited over the next 60 to 90 days just to see how many of my buyers can just get really, really good deals and execute on those at a really high level. So it's a good time
Yeah,
to
and
buy.
and just to kind of go along with that, like I'm working with a buyer right now and we've been looking and we found like the perfect match home and the price had been reduced and then we were still able to negotiate some closing costs. And it like you said, it's all because of like people are really, really waiting for the rates to come down. So those who that are willing to go ahead and jump in now then they're going to be able to get a better house price because once the rates do go down, those prices are going to go up. and negotiation for closing costs will go down with competition, like you said.
Right.
But also like they got, as we were looking, because we've been looking, so the difference between 30 days, um, because we've been looking that long because we also had a house to sell. So we had some time to think. We need to get an offer on that house to sell. So it took us a minute, but the difference in their interest rate was also a quarter less. So there's movement that's constantly going on that's helpful. But I really, really appreciate your advice today. I appreciate your expertise. And for all you folks out that are trying to figure out what can I afford? What can I do? Zach and I make a great team and we are low pressure and you can do it with no commitment consultation. So reach out and we'd be happy to help you do your exact numbers. So thanks again, Zach, for joining me today. I really appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, Janet.
Thanks.